We're going to get into a conversation about a movie. Well, today is elevating the art and business of filmmaking in Ghana. And to make this conversation happen, we have two top directors, like I mentioned, joining us on the show. It's an honor to have them as they both wear their, I don't know, the Ray-Ban, so it's their, but they're all looking real good with the same puff beard. I don't know, it's a director's thing, but you must have the beard. If you don't have the beard, you're out of the game. You must have your shades. It's just that one is bald, the other is not, but it's all good though. let me date his stuff small. But brother Pascal is live in the building. Hey Pascal, why are you game like that?
I didn't watch you.
Pascal, good to have you, my brother. How you doing?
It's always a pleasure to be around you, sir.
Is it a part of the must for a top film director in Ghana?
No, the beard,
Yeah?
it's a different fraternity.
Okay.
And those of us that perhaps have children that we do not know about know exactly what this is all about.
Is that the same case for Kofi Asamoah?
No, it is not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Nothing got to do with that. Oh man, guys, welcome to the studio. Like, this is an honor to have the two of you, live with us in here. Let me roll back real quickly to Away Bus and to Gold Coast. Let me start off with you, Pascal. What did this movie do for you? Like, in terms of after it's done, it's aired, what has been its impact on you personally?
Oh, well, I don't know how long this interview is. Well, I'm not the type of director that makes like 20 movies a year or whatsoever. I mean, we shot this movie 2018. And if you look at my career, of course, well, we're a 3 Music Network. Like, if you look at, the music videos that I've done and the movies I did in Canada and stuff. And it's the most different project I've ever done in my whole career. It's very, very different. Like, what's up with this director who's made all those colorful music videos, all of a sudden is making a black and white film. He quit music videos and is making, well, what is he up to?
Yeah.
So, for me personally, as a director, I really wanted to define who I really am as an artist. We artists, we're very sensitive people.
Very.
Cyril will tell you, like his manager used to tell me that, sometimes you get upset, you drive all the way to Cape Coast because it's just upset.
I know.
So with me, I create music videos and I really want to define exactly who I am and who I want to be. So I did this black and white film. It took like a lot of time for development. I did a short film. It failed completely, called Black Rose. And then we didn't give up. We decided to do a feature film called Gold Coast Lounge. So in terms of the critical aspect of it, I had 4 awards in total my whole career. And with this movie alone, got 18,
18?
Yeah, for this movie, yeah. And just... everything is the most positively received work I've ever done, because I didn't want to be a director anymore that's just like people appreciate my work because of the ingredients. I wanted people to love it because of the whole recipe itself. People were saying, okay, Pascal, I like your film because it made me laugh. Pascal, I like your film because I like the action, I like the shots. I wanted to get rid of all that. I wanted people to actually watch a film and actually be inspired and actually love the story. And, I didn't want the extra, ornaments to actually be the main attraction of the film. And people love the film because of the story. They love the film because, the message behind it. And, it's I'm very, very, very proud.
Do you feel fulfilled? Wow, it's a mouthful.
Fulfilled?
Yes, after this movie.
The day I make the perfect movie, the day I get... all the money in the world by making a movie, I wouldn't know what to do with my life. There's no such thing as being fulfilled. I'd be fulfilled. I mean, we're here to work 200% until we die, right? I'm not fulfilled, but I feel I'm in the right lane.
Okay.
There's no such thing as I made it, but there is such thing as I'm making it. So it's about a journey. It's not necessarily about the destination. So there are more works to be done.
Well, today I'm going to unpack a lot of pressure on you guys. Trust me, it's coming. Because you've starved us for a long time, and you owe us a lot of catching up to do with a lot of movies. So I'm going to fight you.
Before I interrupt you,
Yeah.
When you talk about pressure, are you my wife? You can't give me pressure. Yeah, but you try.
Oh, she throws out the pressure on you, right?
She's a wife. That's a job, bro.
Oh, I like to put the pressure in. Well, Steve Harvey said that it isn't when you get into marriage, it isn't 50-50, it's 85-15. Well, so women have the 85, men have the 15. Deal with that. Anyway, let me come to you, Kofas, now, as well, a legend in this game. How do you feel after producing Away Bus? Top-notch movie.
It feels great. Away Bars did teach me a lot. It's the only film that I did on a collaboration. And
Okay.
so it was really a very good learning platform, you know, having to work with another director and producer. It was co-directed, and it was the first time, you know, I had been involved in anything as such. And so it was really a good experience. It taught me a lot. It was also my second attempt at an action comedy. I mean, I do a lot of comedy films. Of course, that's what I want to be known for. You know, I'm just trying to be able to specialize in comedy filmmaking. But this was one of the story, you know, that kind of story that just comes off head, and you know, you laugh about it, and then you know, the next moment, like you see it, you know, on screen. You know, it's really a good feeling.
Let me just get a bit technical with you. You said co-directing. So what happens in that space? Because is it a clash of creativity? And you know, when two creatives meet, sometimes it's a volcanic eruption, both ways.
That really was the expectation, you know, but unfortunately that never did happen. It was really a very mutual engagement. So Peter Sadufia was the co-director and co-producer as well. And we did have some level of understanding even before, you know, we went on set. You know, of course, he's a very great director, you know, and so it was really easy for him. And with the level of exposure that he also has, there really were no clashes of ideas. No, it was just sharing ideas, because at the end of the day, we both had the same vision. You know, we were on the same page pretty much, and so it was just the best, you know, at every point. You know, so there were times where, you know, we would throw off ideas. You know, he would want to go a certain way, I'd want to go a certain way, but we always had to, you know, meet each other somewhere, you know, just in the interest of the project rather than personal interest. But like I said, all of these things, you know, created that experience that, you know, I mentioned earlier on, that, you know, it was really a good feeling. And
so you also mentioned, real quick, you also mentioned that you this just slipped me by. I was just so excited about it when you mentioned it with regards to
comedy.
Comedy. Yes. When you say you want to be known for that, does it come with a certain technical detail to be identified as maybe a particular kind of director?
I think it's just like, you know, typecasting. It is just being consistent at it, and of course being able to deliver exactly what, you know, you're hoping to do over a period of time. There's really, I think it's a bit like a niche, creating a niche for yourself. Of course, I can direct, you know, every other genre, you know, but just creating that niche that, you know, if you're looking for somebody to, if names be mentioned of directors good at comedy, I want my name to pop up. Like, I want my name to pop up as a film director, but when you mention comedy, I really want my name to be there, you know. It's not just me. I think even in Hollywood, even in the bigger jurisdictions, you know, there are directors who are known for specific details in filmmaking. Like, if you mention suspense, a director's name will pop up. If you mention action thriller, a director's name will pop up. If you mention horror films, a director's name will pop up, or a list will pop up. That's what I'm talking about. It's just... When I started initially, you know, in our part of the world, everything is, you know, when you don't do things like people would want, you would even have industry, like fellow directors, oh, you're the comedy in Kwan, or he's only doing comedy. You know, it's really not a joke making people laugh.
Yeah,
people
it is.
You don't know, people whose demographics you have no idea of. Sometimes you sit in the cinema, you watch your film, and you know that at this point, they will laugh. And really, when it gets to that point, they laugh.
Then you know you struck something. Off the back of that, Pascal, what would you say is Pascal's signature?
The thing is, it takes a while for, like you mentioned, it does take a while for everyone to actually recognize what signature it is. I've had different phases in my career, really, like, but I would say, if you look at my entire career, one thing that's been consistent, I started my career doing action films in Canada. I spent 5 years doing that. I started my career with people that are currently Hollywood stuntmen, and the people I started with, currently stunt doubling for Will Smith, to the Vin Diesels and Henry Cavills and stuff. I go to Silverbird and I watch $200 million films there. So there's a reason for that. I believe like everybody has their purpose. I grew up watching action films, and the 5 years of my directing in Canada was done with action films. But I use there's elements of that in everything that I've done, from the music videos I've done. I've done some action short films, and then I transitioned to comedy as well for a while. Did some comedy short films, and then. But right now, to answer your question, I believe, if I would put it into one sentence, I feel my niche is, I feel it's my duty and my journey to take any popular genre and Africanize it. That's the direction that I want to go. Because almost a lot of stuff that I've done, even for the music videos and some short films I did, I just took something that is expected from a Hollywood film, whatever, and then you put it in an African context, So my first, I almost say Goko Sna is my first movie. It is not, but it's just my first transition to doing that was Goko Sna. So I took one of the first known genres of film from Hollywood called film noir, right, which was popularized in the 40s, 50s in Hollywood. So I took that genre and I Africanized it. So you watch the film, okay, when it comes to the genre, you're like, okay, there's like a classical Hollywood film, but then it's 100% Ghanaian. The language is 60% in Ga and Tree, and some Pidgin and Ewe in the film, and then like our culture is definitely in there. So mention one Hollywood genre and mention one part of our culture, and put it inside a film. That's Pascal.
It's there. I like the part where you say it takes a while to build. Serial Miss you'll be coming in as well. But so let me ask Kofas. So, what stories? And this might be based on director, but what stories sell most or will sell well? Looking at our Ghanaian, of course, you produce movies for the world. But what will sell most and best in our setting, in our local setting, with all your years of experience? Because there's business attached to the project.
Yes, I I think it would be good if I spoke for what has worked for me over the years.
Yes.
I've broken box office records for a period, and it was with comedy.
Comedy?
Yes, with comedy. And most of the big films that have been in the theaters here in Ghana have been comedies. If you spoke to someone,
I was actually thinking it would be Love, because we, across all the short films and the theatrical experience we have, a lot of
nowhere close.
Interesting.
So if you look, that's what I'm saying. If you'd look at the statistics from Silverbird, and I'm using Silverbird because that is the only cinema, like proper cinema here, that has like records to show for some of these things. And it's I think it's comedy. It's one genre that's pretty much cut across. I don't think there are people who don't like to laugh. There would be people who may not be interested in, say, a horror genre or action, or but I've not seen anybody who would say I don't like to laugh.
In your opinion, would it also be, what have you experienced? You realize that works when it comes to films you would produce, like what storylines would work with your audience?
Very good question. The thing is, if you just look at the spectrum of Ghana, like I would say, yeah, definitely comedy is like the number one genre. Like
we are happy people, aren't we?
Yeah, I don't think it's because we're happy, because we want to be happy.
We want to be
happy.
Too much stress.
Yeah. So but if you ask me as a director, I'm not. You won't say Pascal as the type of director that does things just because the audience feels it's popular. With music videos, I've sort of done that as well, which worked. But I began a phase where, like, okay, there's a whole bunch of real estate that has not been explored. Let me be the guy to explore it. That's where I am. You know what I mean? So definitely comedy is a very, very popular genre.
It's interesting.
Especially in theater as well.
What he said, I am happy that he's one of the people who would, take those steps to explore, and when it works, some of us will come there. Because, we like to go where would have returns.
Instant.
Because our films are self-financed. So it's very difficult, maybe when I get to the level of, being able to shed off certain risks, I can be able to. Yeah, because
I like that. We'll talk about the business of it, which
okay.
Financing becomes a very major part.
But, there have been times where people say, "Oh, make historic films about Ghana." There are a lot of stories. They won't pay to watch it. It's too risky. But if the government or if there's some level of funding that can be accessed, we can look, my brother. We have ideas. Trust me. We have ideas.
So good. So now let me take the pressure off you then and put it back on the consumers. What is the reason? Why do you think the consumers are not opening up to get stories, to understand and appreciate stories that, would tell us properly or really depict who we really are? Like, you watch an American movie, America is saving the day every day. It's always America.
I feel in creative arts, I'm sure it will be safe to say not limited to just film. Consumers mostly get used to what is constantly served. Mostly, what is constantly served. So in Ghana, in the world, there was a time where there was a certain type of films that were coming from Hollywood, and the people get used to it. When that, like, consumers would always, enjoy things or will adapt to things that are constantly served. So like Pascal said, now he's venturing to something else. Consistently, if he is able to do that over a period of time, people would want to, even before knowing the title of the film or seeing a trailer, once it's from Pascal, they kind of have an idea how it's going to look, what it's going to be, and they would go into the cinemas to see it. So I think with the consumers, it's just, what works for them over the period.
Still staying on the consumers, and then maybe I should start off with Pascal. So in music, for example, we've come to a point where Afrobeat is championing the game and is directing the kind of songs, the kind of language, the rhythm, and all that. Is that the same in film as we speak today? That there is a certain trend or certain elements that is dictating what has to be done when a director sits to produce a movie?
Well, yes and no. When you're looking at the music industry, we all remember what happened in 96, 97. High Life, etc. was, on top of the game until somebody, said, "True boy." Hip life began, and then everybody has followed in like 98. So I'm just saying, there is such thing as not necessarily dictating, but then shifting the taste of the consumers, I'm a banku kind of guy. I love banku. Very much.
The food, right?
Yeah.
Usually they else by name banku.
No, I had banku, so I wanted to be sure banku.
Banku.
It's Pascal.
Yeah, it's me. You have to translate your.
It's banku. He knows banku. But,
I'm not a wache kind of guy. But then if my wife slowly, she introduced me to it and everything and stuff. And next thing you know, I'm a watcher guy. So that's why I told the bloggers as well, there is such thing at some point, Asamoah or whatever, like at some point they follow you so you can just shift them a little bit. And when it comes to the music industry, there's this guy that I've, blew up with my career and who blew up as well. EL, I'm talking about EL.
Yeah, EL.
We all remember 10 years ago, the whole Azonto craze, etc. He said something that was quite interesting. Do what the audience wants, and later on you do whatever you want, Correct. And before that, before even the Azonto craze, right, Skillions, Borjay, he told me that EL was the one that told me, yo, let's do something for the people. Let's start doing something for the people. This hip-hop thing, they work, but let's do something for the people, So, and I believe that's when they started focusing a little bit more on doing like songs in Pidgin and, local language.
And all that.
Ghana, etc. And it kind of worked to build the audience, build the trust, and then boom. And then later on, years later, like EO just yells at me and say, "Listen, Pascal, people are saying I'm not the best African rapper. I can't believe they're saying I'm not the best African rapper." Then he started the bar stuff every year. Bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, bar 4. That's what he wants, So the consumers are where they are, and how did they get there? They got there. And if you wanted to be somewhere else, I think there are definitely people that will gradually are open to multiple tastes, because you just have to feed them. You just have to feed them a diverse menu, and gradually the taste will change. But at the same time, the audience I believe that the audience not necessarily just stuck here in this small country called Ghana. You know, I believe the ingredients are here, and we can export a lot of our recipes to another audience outside, and that audience could be Ghanaian as well. You know, so that's why I strongly believe in. I strongly believe in making films, not necessarily for a Ghanaian audience, because the audience is very diverse, more diverse than we think. We have not really explored and tapped that, in my opinion, and because of that. The menus that we have here as producers can be diverse, because you can export it and you can definitely get the audience actually.
Okay, so Ms. Jesrio, my last,
That's okay.
my last. But let me then throw this to Kofas. You see, sorry, I have to be a bit controversial here, but the Kumawood industry at a certain point
Not controversial.
was generating, well, let's forget about quality and standards and all that, but they were generating movies that resonated with the people's lifestyle.
Correct.
So there was huge demand, you know, and hence the breadth, you know, of the Kumawood, you know, and it became a huge threat to affluent, plush, international aiming standard producers like yourself, if I can say that. And I'm not to say Kumawood wasn't international, but you were putting a certain extra effort to try and achieve certain standards that were globally accepted in terms of even cameras used, and you know, all those things that would get you to be able to put your stuff on platforms like Netflix and co, Amazon Prime, and you name them. So Kumawood was for us. It was our own customized, developed kind of movies, and the storylines in there, shot within a certain time pace. You know, that was the experience of Kumawood. It was because the people could resonate with it. Isn't that something that is a consideration in your research that you do before you work on your movies? You know, I want to find out what kind of work is going on, to find out what the consumer is really asking of. So yes, comedy, yes, action, yes, stories depicting our tradition, our culture, but the real story is Mansa has done juju to the father's son-in-law and the brother's sister's husband's wife and stuff like that.
It's really sad, you know, any time mention is made of Kumawood. Kumawood is, let me say, Kumawood then was the backbone of the film industry here in Ghana. Years ago, when the infiltration of Nigerian films came, it was Kumawood, the likes of that Takusi Nyamiche, James Abuaji, Jones Ajman, the people who stood,
champion,
Pius Famille, you know, Pyro Films those days, HM Films, you know, Hajia Mizongo. It was these people who made these films in the local dialect, who kept the industry alive. You know, who kept these, because those were the days where you would see 16-in-1 movies on one disc from Nigeria, you know, and they were cheap, you know. And then the Kumawood breakthrough came. Now, here it is. Kumawood, and at the time, the directors and producers had no training, formal training. Most of them even had no training on the job, no experience whatsoever. They just had the money. They just had the interest. A lot of the crew that came out of Kumawood at the time were people who just had interest and were willing to learn from the very few people who had learned on the job. The access to equipment at the time was almost like not there. As for funding and finances, it was almost non-existent. This was a thriving industry, a striving industry. These were people who were trying to entertain, who were trying to sustain an industry. And it was these same people that were so much talking down on. People will make films in Kumawood with 5,000 CDs, 10,000 CDs, and Ghanaians will compare it to $100,000, $400,000 budget movies.
Or more,
that was never fair. Even now, that still happens. And that is one of the things that gradually killed Kumawood. Look, there were a lot of things. There's a movie called 2016.
Yeah,
which was
we all know 2016.
Visual effect. That film has more realistic visual effect than a lot of the Indian films that we enjoy. A lot of the Chinese films that we enjoy. But you see, in Ghana, there's a certain attitude If it is not from me, I know better. My way is better. Like everybody tends to define their ways as what really has to be. At the time, if there was a conscious state effort to train, to educate, to equip, to empower filmmakers in Kumasi, my brother, we will not be here. But we left them. And then we categorize it, glamour movies and local movies. Every film made in Ghana is a local film. What is glamour? What is local? Every film that we make is a local film. Whether you are targeting Jews audience, whether you are targeting, it is a local film targeting Jews audience. It doesn't. Your target does not define
where you come
it
from.
Is the.
Your target does not define where you come from.
It does not define the origin of the film. I am Ghanaian. I'm a Ghanaian filmmaker. When I make a film, it's a Ghanaian.
Your films will always be Ghanaian.
Produced Ghana. It's a Ghana film. That's what I'm saying. Regardless of what target I'm trying to get to, But over here we say, oh, the film is going international. What is international, my brother? Well, you hear these things.
Okay, so why didn't directors like yourself, who had gotten certain background training, step into those areas and spaces to try and also, share some expertise, to help thrive the industry, if I can say that.
I started from Kumasi. Then I was there. I was with them.
Okay.
I was a PA, became an assistant. I went through all that, became an assistant director, and then I decided, because maybe at the time I saw reason to, that I want to go get education in that field because I had very super interest in there. So I went to NAFTI and then I trained. And so if you look at all the films that I've made, they are Kumawood films.
Okay.
To date, I make only one movie every year. And all the films that I've made all these years are films that are Kumawood films. I use Kumawood cast. I try very well to have like a very fair combination of Kumawood cast, because you see, the people love it.
Yes, the people love it.
The people love it. See, Ghanaians, they love it. The very things they criticize are the very things they so love. And so, if we don't show that love, it kills the industry. It demotivates the people who make these contents for us. Look at these YouTube skits that are now emanating from Kumawood. People laugh at them. They enjoy them.
Akabeneze and Co.
They don't use red cameras to make those contents. You see, but we boxed the success of the industry into like equipment based, like fancy shot based. So, and it's tell our stories, my brother. The Beye is a Ghanaian story. The Asamoah is a Ghanaian story. Is it not true?
It is.
So we will say, Ghanaian films always are based. When we say we should tell our story, which ones are we telling? The Beye that you don't want to see, that is what our story. The Amoya, the Kumasi Yonko, those are our stories. So they'll say, tell your story. When you tell your story, they say either you are demeaning Africa, you are demeaning Ghana, you have to show the positive side. Just, my brother, you never know what Ghanaians want. So just do what will make you money.
What is your reaction on on this as well with regards to Kumawood and?
Okay, first of all, years ago I was on this show called Movie Chat Room, and I would watch a local Ghanaian film, and then it was just my first. My first proper exposure to Ghanaian films since I came back. I was fresh off the boat at the time. And later on, I came to a realization that, okay, these so-called glamour films, right, they are from Ghana, but I do not think they do the best job of representing Ghana like the way Kumawood does. That is the truth. As much as, yes, I have a degree in film studies from Canada and all that stuff. Listen, if you want to show exactly what Ghana feels like, you definitely show the Kumawood films as opposed to those glamour films. Because the glamour films, they're polished, but then, real life is not as polished as they are, The same way that people keep talking about, okay, when you come to Ghana December, it's not the same thing as being in Ghana in March or whatever. The real Ghana is like when you're actually here and then
April.
Prices are going up and then... so the thing is, here's the thing. I believe everything and everyone and every different sector of the industry does its job. You know, in the music industry, for example, you have the Americans doing their thing. You have, you have your Shatawales, and you also have your Manifest. You know, if I would compare myself, okay, I won't do that. Let's say.
So, because I want to see that you have, I mean, you also invest, a lot into your movies. I mean, looking at your last movie, Gold Coast, and I'm asking myself, even looking at the business, how is Pascal going to be able to recoup, like all the conversation, all the things that bring worry. It just beats my mind. Like how are we going to break through? I don't know if I should say break through it, but
I like Breakthrough. That's the name of my company. But yeah, he's Breakthrough.
I don't know if you like the like what Kofas said. The Kumawood is us. Maybe the way they went about it in terms of production is what defeats the.
I think. We are looking at Kumawood in isolation. I think we can look at the art and the act of Ghanaian storytelling. From our showcase and our dramas, to our cantatas, to our by the firesides, to our play culture and everything, there's a method to which Ghanaian stories are told. The gentlemen that Kofas referred to as the pioneers of Kumawood simply took that method and those elements and put it on film. What we used to see on Akan drama, the Asamoah song and the Obere and the Witch and all that and the Umamintina Wimba and Wawariase and all that. We saw all that on TV, on GTV, Akan drama showcase in Dagbani. That storytelling is what was adapted to Kumawood. Mm-hmm. But there's something called screenwriting, how to develop a story for screenplay for film. It's a different course. Mm-hmm. And that transcends how the thing is perceived. If I tell you the story of Little Red Riding Hood and it's to be adapted to a film, there's a whole process where it can make an impact as a film. And that affects the perception about the film as compared to the literal telling of the story. What I think is let me use the word fail. We have failed to transition it properly. That is why, as much as Kofas is right, that those are the Ghanaian stories. How they are being communicated, in my understanding, how they are being communicated is what makes people look down on them. Because when the let me use the West, when the West does a evil stepmother movie, we all laugh. They did one with Jennifer Lopez, Monster-in-Law.
Monster-in-Law, yes.
Monster-in-Law with Jennifer Lopez back in the day. It was hilarious. I don't watch, I don't like, I can't stand those evil stepmother patients, Zoko and Co. They do their hustle and I appreciate it, but I can't stand those movies when it's from the continent. There's something about it. But guess what? I watched Monster-in-Law and laugh, ha, 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 ha.
Because stepmother is not supposed to be hilarious.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is,
it's not a joke. It's not hilarious.
You see, I'm trying to even ledge on your point that you are saying that you want to invest in comedy. And I realized that when I watch such a horrific story through the lens of a comedic screenwriter, right? I was able to get the story that this woman is toxic for this marriage. But because it entertained me and it tickled my funny bone, as opposed to frustrating me watching the screen, I was able to indulge that. But in our storytelling, we go a bit literal to the message. That film, that lens of cinema that's supposed to subconsciously tell us the message while they do witchcraft. Harry Potter is witchcraft. But look how they packaged it.
It's foreign witchcraft.
Yes,
ours, you can't package it.
So that's what I'm saying, that the consumers. I want to find out whether the consumers are dictating the way the.
No, but if I get what Kofas has been trying to say, he says the reality on the ground is what we are portraying to you. If we do a Kumawood movie that portrays a witch in a certain way, maybe that is how the Ghanaian witch is portrayed here. And so let's give you what is Ghanaian rather than give you what is Harry Potter's definition of what.
I'm not saying let's. I'm not Kofas. Don't
time I was watching America Got Talent, and then there was this guy who was a magician, and then he was on the stage, and they asked, "How did you do it?" He said, "It's witchcraft and sorcery."
They clapped.
They clapped. Woo! You can't do that here. You cannot.
You talk that in the auditorium empty.
So you will make a film, and somebody will come and say, "Yeah, I'm a witch," you know.
You see, that's what
doesn't happen,
bro. We are saying the same thing, though. That's where culture and understanding your audience and all that come to play. All I'm saying is that we have all seen foreign films, from the Chinese to the telenovelas to the Hollywood blockbusters, right? If you look at the stories, they say one thing they talk. But everybody puts this lens between the story and the cinema experience to make it more palatable to the audience. Me, I wrote my chef films. This man knows. 99% of our chat is about films for like 10 years now. I've watched cinema, and I can tell you that there's something missing in our storytelling that makes our stuff a bit too literal and not entertaining enough. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Fire away.
Real quick. To what you're saying, Cyril, yes and no. You know, this packaging thing that people are talking about, that we are talking about, like what we're trying to say here, it goes down to my previous point. It's like there is a taste for everyone. There is a palate. Use the word palatable. It comes from the word palate, right?
Yeah.
Brought from the hey, I understand. So there's a taste for everyone. I just feel that, you know, for me, I actually feel that we need to explore more on how exactly we tell our stories. Because if you tell someone, like the way you described, like, you know, the transition from by the fireside, everything from account drama to the Kumawood, etc., it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, I feel we still have space to not necessarily experiment, but to gradually start defining what it is to be an African film or a Ghanaian film. How to actually tell the stories to be palatable.
Telling of that story is the story in its capture is the director's responsibility, but in creating the story before the first roll hits is the screenplay. If your screenplay, I mean, you can correct me, but what I know is if your screenplay is quote unquote trash, the director would job with triple to bring that vision to life. Do we have enough screenwriters? People who understand that this is what Kofas wants to say, but this is how he might capture it. So this is how I need to tell the story for maximum effect. And between both of you, you must have worked with a lot of writers, screenwriters. Do we have enough, or are we recycling the same? It's like the music industry. Ghana music industry, we lack music execs. That's why we have the good songs and Nigeria is whooping our butt. Simple. That's it. We lack music execs that work in production and that work in marketing. We don't have. That's why we are losing to Nigeria. Do we have a similar problem in the film industry where it is the story I want to tell, and make a go call Kofas, make it shoot them. In between,
there's a certain missing gap.
The casting, the adequate casting, the screenplay, all the things that you go check before the script go reach you, say action. Do we have a gap there?
Okay.
You see where my problem is.
Before I answer that, directly, your observation and your choice of how you would want stories to be told are very legitimate, and I think that there is a personal, position, but I don't think that should define how the larger audience should take these contents. Film comes in different genres: drama, comedy,
action, mystery, thriller, whatever.
So if I'm telling you a story and it's a witchcraft story and it's drama, it doesn't have to be funny. People who don't love drama won't love it. You won't love it. That's why you don't, because it's drama. You want the same story to be told in a comedic way, on a lighter note. But you see, that also changes the tone of the story. So if I'm trying to tell a story about, say, hawking in Ghana, okay, and then hawking is a problem, the dangers it comes with, etc. And then I decide to do that story, and the agenda is to create some level of awareness and let people understand, why it's something that should not be encouraged. Immediately you put it in a lighter shade, it defeats a certain purpose.
Of the
Unless,
impact of Hawking.
exactly.
Yeah.
The same can be achieved through comedy, don't get me wrong. But it should not negate the efficacy of telling the same story as it is in whatever genre. And that's the point I'm making.
So when I raised the point about Kumawood, actually what I wanted to land on was the fact that, okay, so how come we have a certain industry that is a crop of directors producing world-class standard movies,
At least you try.
but it's not getting the same audience, and I stand to be corrected. Well, we shouldn't say I stand to be corrected, actually. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's the right English. Correct me if I'm wrong. That is not getting the same audience. I mean, we have you, we have Pascal, we have Shirley, you name them, Peter, and these movies aren't the one commanding what Ghana film industry is in. And when I say not commanding, there is a larger audience consuming, or that was consuming Kumawood. Was it because of the story? Was it because of the way it was shot? That's what I want to understand, because I feel like, example, we were filming Sky Marshals, a tourism show. We're putting in all the work that we could do. Trying to make it all film and documentary, National Geographic. But somebody is just filming something, and it's non-comparable to the standards, and that person's own is rather garnering all the attention.
It's
and I
the
check
kind
my
of
views.
consumers we have.
So that's why I read the conversation about consumers. Like, is it the consumers dictating what is supposed to be done out there, and is it forcing you into a box? Is it cutting you off, making you feel like, look, we are not our eyes are not open? If I have to say, I don't. That's what I wanted to understand. That how come Kumawood was consumed heavily as compared to the crop of polished Ghanaian movies that you were telling?
You see, I said this early on. Film goes beyond aesthetics. Aesthetics is one part of the process. People always want to see and hear things that they are familiar with, things that will either surprise them, things they can relate to. So you can use all the cameras in the world and all the aesthetic pleasures of the creative pleasure. You can go through all of those and still not be able to appeal to the people. That's what I'm saying. In our part of the country, mostly we make films before we think of how to sell them. There's so much interest in being on set, filming. I'm working in Juma. More than distributing the film. And so before people make films, they don't think somebody will make a say, I'm making a Netflix standard film. What is Netflix standard film? Do you know the rubbish on Netflix?
True.
Do you know films low quality, low end in terms of story, aesthetics, quality, BBR on Netflix? But they have good distribution deals. They have good distributors. So however bad the content is, the distributor is able to put it up there. It doesn't make Netflix a standard. But you see, in Ghana, we've even made Netflix like the ultimate, which really is not. And so we have this mindset. So when younger new filmmakers are coming, instead of appealing to your immediate audience, these are the people, because the biggest source of revenue in film is cinema.
Kofas, let me cut you. The immediate audience also consume those quote unquote Netflix standard movies. So why would I not want to do that standard?
Are you sure? What the statistics? How many people have Netflix?
Miss G.
The people are on YouTube.
Miss G, when
I know
piracy
educated people who...
When piracy was at its peak in this country, and VCD, which corner were they not selling VCD? Harrison Ford movies and everything. Who was buying it? It was Ghanaians. Ghanaians have watched everything.
That's what I'm saying.
When GTV used to Sunday,
but they were not buying those films as much as they were buying the local films.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say, that the content on Netflix, you won't get a lot of people there because you don't have your typical Kumawood movies there. You don't have language that people can identify with there.
Even the foreign films in general. Forget about Netflix as a platform. I'm saying that, are we saying Ghanaian movie goers or Ghanaian movie lovers, consumers, watch more Kumawood than they watch Western films? Is that a statement we want to say?
I could vouch to some extent.
I disagree because I can mention films. I can mention 20 films here that every Ghanaian has watched.
No, wait, that's not true.
That's an error.
That is not true.
Not
It's
error.
very debatable.
Not error. What I'm saying is that whether the person watches, it's not either or.
You know why?
Whether the person watches Kumawood, or the person watches Kofas, or the person watches Pascal, best movies. Those movies are still consumed heavily. It's not either or. The fact that somebody would like a typical Kumawood movie does not mean that they are not sitting down to watch a Terminator.
No, that was a certain error. Cyril.
And again,
Today, I'm not think it has stopped. Why would it stop?
No,
Cyril, what I want to tell you that the statistics do not match.
It's everybody.
You would have people. I'm telling you that
right.
you have. If we say we want to even run it, let's say I'm just exaggerating. It could be 70-30. The people who will watch both Netflix and watch Kumawood movie, you might be surprised that you have 70. And the people who watch strictly Netflix or well-refined in quote movies are just 30%. Look, I know people who are very well educated and very well responsible, but every time I go to their house, it's YouTube. What are they watching? Akabeneza. What are they watching? Some comedy thing somebody has done on YouTube. But these are real, well-resourced people.
Know the opposite.
Then, wait, but they don't even have a Netflix account. They don't even care about an international movie. They don't even care about Nollywood movie, not to talk about anything beyond.
And write, laborers who know where to go on YouTube to find stuff to watch.
But I'm saying that the statistics is
let's
not...
not confuse literacy for the...
So that's what I want to find out.
Maybe we should ask them. They are producing.
Who is your number one consumer then? Of your movies.
You're talking about me specifically?
Yeah, specifically, yeah.
My staff is 100% Ghanaian. I know I mix. I'm half Ivorian, spend time in Canada, but my stuff is probably Ghanaian content. But then I'm more interested. Everybody's different. Everybody has their goals. I'm very interested in exporting our culture, our stories, our movies.
Okay.
So
you target diaspora, you target platforms that reach outside.
More. But it's still consumable for local Ghanaians, of course, because it's probably Ghanaian. That's just me, specifically. I believe there's somebody for everyone. Everybody here drinks water. We don't drink water, we'll die. Some of us drink pure water, some of us drink Voltic, some of us drink Belacqua, but it's still water.
True.
You understand? So some people drink from those fancy glass bottles too. You know what I mean? So I'm just a proud Ghanaian filmmaker who...
Would you say that influences, and I'm going to come to your movie later on because I've been doing lots of commentary about Gold Coast Lounge and the fact that I'll come to that you were daring enough to do a movie majorly in Ghana, which is not the most spoken language we know here in I've been saying it a number of times. I have the opportunity to speak about your movie. But does it also, what you just said to us, does it influence the kind of visuals you put out, the kind of locations you're using, costume, and all of that? Because you know that your target is not just in Ghana, but you're looking beyond Ghana. Is that what happens? Yeah.
It's a decision I made a few years ago, right when I left music videos and I decided, okay, well, whatever projects I'm going to do is not necessarily aimed just for Ghana. That's just me, specifically, but to be proudly Ghanaian. So, yeah, it definitely affects every single aspect of the filmmaking process. Like Kofas said, definitely, if you really have an idea of exactly where you're going to market your film, where you're going to take it, etc., it will affect the writing, it will affect the pacing of the film, definitely the pacing, the way that the actors act, everything affects every single aspect. Everything, every layer of the recipe, it definitely affects.
Is that also cost intensive as compared to what people like we were just talking about Kumawood? I don't know what their budget looks like, but from what we've been saying, it means that it's not of the standard that we wish it was. So we want to think or assume that okay, maybe the budget is not that much. Maybe that is why it's looking that way. What do you think that these things that you put in consideration makes your movie more cost intensive than if you weren't considering all of these? And are you making back what you put in?
Okay, first of all, let's put it out of the way. Making a film is definitely a cost. Cyril can literally record a whole album in his house in his underwear.
Pascal says his underwear. He just put an imagination in my head.
You don't want to see it.
I don't want to see it.
But you said that Corona, you are making money.
Sorry, yeah.
You know what I mean? But filmmaking, you hire so many people, etc., and everything costs. Like it's basically like a wedding times this, and that. Sorry if I'm talking about wedding.
Yeah. The man has been damaged.
We good.
And the wedding is the standard of expensive.
Right. Yeah, it costs money to make a film. But I wouldn't say Gold Coast now is the most expensive Ghanaian film. To be honest, it's not the most expensive. You know, I wish I'll spend more money on it. But yeah, it does cost money to make. If you want to make the standard keeps increasing. You know, I mean, African film cinema, the standard keeps increasing. So if I were to make another film, I'll probably spend a lot more money.
Is it because you've made it back?
Well, yes, but then we're trying to reach higher levels and stuff. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna say it's the easiest thing to do to make money here in Ghana. It's not easy. It's absolutely not easy. You know, some people like me keep talking about, oh, we wish we had more cinemas. You know, but we keep comparing ourselves to Nigeria. Why not? You know what I mean? Like you're in the house. You think, you know, the house is great, and you look at the neighbors and say, hey, wait a second, these people have 70 times what we have. You know what I mean? So that means we have to do a lot of stuff on our own and everything. I didn't want to go to that. I mean, we have 3 cinemas in Ghana, bro. We have 3. Nigeria has 76.
So the 3 is just in Ghana. I thought it's just Accra.
No.
So beyond Accra, no, Kumasi has Dine and Wine, so that's 4.
Bed and a Snap Cinema, that's it.
3.
Oh.
3. Nigeria has 76 and counting.
So we're going to jump into financing since we're going there. But my question is still not answered. I feel I'm not satisfied with the answer. But let's go into financing. But before we end, I'm still asking that about Kumawood. You know, using a very similar, a very simple way to process to win.
I want to talk about, especially like with your show, where you know you were using the best of
Marshalls.
Yeah, well, nobody mind us. So
you see, people, or I'm sure you had a certain audience in mind. You wanted to appeal to a certain audience so bad. You wanted to do something different, out of the world. You want people to see it and go like, wow. And you know, sometimes we create targets whose interests we have no idea of.
Okay. I'm satisfied.
You've created a certain target that want people to watch it, but those people who really need that content care more about other things than drones, type of cameras, etc. So somebody would do the same content with their phone, and people will watch, they will enjoy it.
Share it. And even share it.
Because they can relate, like they feel like it is something they want to see, be part of. But suddenly when you put it in a certain way, because that target that you had in mind is not the target watching the content, they watch other things. So the people who will be wowed by the drones are the people who won't want to go on the trip.
Interesting, because a simple example is when you shot your... Okay.
At the same time, what if I tell you that I know a network that will pay a lot of money for what you do with drone marshals outside Ghana? You understand? So there is that. The world is a big place.
You might be looking in the wrong place.
Okay. So the target is there for you, but the ones you want them to see, the ones whose the ones you made the content for.
So then how do we now get Ghana to accept that, listen, we need to move from an era of liking these great stories, but production might have certain flaws that are not in movie ethics and movie values, to now accepting movies that are, you know, like of a certain Kofas.
I think Pascal answered that earlier.
Pascal standard. I don't know how
Pascal answered that earlier.
We're going to get to that point.
You know what people want, but gradually you need to be feeding them with something. I think Pascal said that earlier, that you sometimes you know what the people want, but you need to gradually feed them with something. He even made an example of, you're raising your hand, you want to continue?
No, I said you mentioned one point. And then the other thing that I said is like there's a different menu for everybody. There's different types of audiences, there's different types of
Look, I'm saying this, I hope you get my point. I'm saying this because lately, let's go to Nigeria again. I mean, Nigeria is winning.
76 cinemas.
Well, yes, and Nigeria is winning, and I agree. Netflix isn't.
There's Netflix Niger.
Everything, but you let's just say that from where we are coming from, we see it as something. I have Amazon Prime. I don't even watch it. I saw other ones on there, but I don't subscribe to it. So please let me use Netflix. I beg you.
That's fine.
So, like I see Nigerian movies now flooding these platforms, and they are creating a standard that is supposed to be, listen, if you're going to shoot a Nigerian movie, you have to get it to this. So everybody's gravitating towards that. But in our setting, I see it as, look, what are we doing to our geniuses like Kofas and Pascal and Shirley's and Yvonne's and co? We are boxing their movies, not giving them not, I don't want to say support, the viewership that they need, because they are schooled and they're going to be able to tell real stories.
Who is supposed to give you the viewership?
That's what I'm asking. That is it that the consumers? That's why I read the conversation about the consumers. The consumers, is it that we are not? Oh, because seriously, we are watching Terminator.
We are.
So is it that I'm not realizing that? Look, Pascal shot a short film. Two boys, police.
Ghana police. Okay.
Yeah.
Ghana police. Super.
Beautiful,
I loved it. But guess what? I don't want to mention any other locally produced. Sorry, you corrected me. Not locally produced. Substandard. Let me just say substandard produced skits. That is more heavily consumed than you camera angles. I was watching. I was like, all those things have come into play. That one is like I could do it myself with my own phone, and if I ask them to play the script again or say it again, it will be different words. It will never be the same thing because it wasn't possibly even scripted. It was the idea. But why is that one selling, getting more views? People are gravitating towards it, buying into it, liking it, sharing it, than us creating a certain standard that can let us,
Let me address that. I mean, of course, our panelists can also pick it up. In 2020, after when did we go into lockdown?
2020, January.
2020. So there was a
March.
massive. I've forgotten the website, but one of these big marketing websites, and they found out that brands that used videos for marketing purposes were getting less engagement. The higher the quality of your video, the less engagement you get. When you give a J Foley a video to do your Belacqua influencing for you, you leave him that, or you do videos and post, and it looks authentic, and his phone is shaking, and the mic is bad, and there's structure in his background. Those videos skyrocketed, as compared to getting a camera crew to follow J Foley action. Then he drinks the water and makes noise about it. So the consumer's psychology is changing. That's one. Secondly, the Western world has moved away from selling the story to selling us characters. There's an interview that was trending on social media. Michael Mackey, what's his name from?
Anthony Mackie?
Anthony Mackie from Avengers, where he was saying that Hollywood no longer sells films. Hollywood sells you Captain America. Hollywood should sell you Superman. Are we selling Anansi? That the Anansi character is so super, so intriguing that I'll watch anything Anansi is in. Are we selling King Agokoli? And it's such a kick-A person, such a bad whatever, that I want to go and see how it goes down. Are we selling Otunfo and Yas and Tua enough that whatever film Kofas...
another whole angle.
Exactly, because you see, like I'm saying that... No, bro, let me tell you... Let me... Oh, I've lost all my glasses. Let me give you the rundown. Whether we like it or not, all the movies that we like, that are Ghanaian movies, we fell in love with it because of the characters. Maybe one main lead character, right? Killer Alumi. Everybody knows Killer Alumi from Terminator, right? But if you ask the person, what was the film about? They might not have a clue. You know this. Any person, the most literate person in Ghana to the most illiterate person, if you mention Killer Alumi, they know. They know Rambo. They know Commando, even from the 70s. Hollywood has purposefully driven the development of the character and made the audience fall in love with the character so much that the character draws in the movie. That's why you have Bruce Willis still doing Die Hard 6. That's why they'll go and bring Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford at age 60, he's what, 66 or 70, 22 or something, coming to do Indiana Jones again.
Can I come?
Do you get what I'm saying? Back to my screenplay conversation that are we just doing great-looking films with good stories, or are we looking at the psychology of the consumer, the marketing, and all that? Because if Indiana Jones came out in 1982, the first one, and your man is 75, and they can still reignite the franchise in the year 24, they are shooting to release in 2024, then it's not about the film or the quality or anything. It's about the character. They know that character in Indiana Jones will sell.
Let me say something.
I don't see that in our films. That's why I'm asking my director.
But you speak against it.
No, help me out.
You see it.
Help me out.
I like this because I feel consumers haven't been
against it. Because we are in this country, we will use characters, and you people will tell us we are seeing the same faces all over, all the time. Change it, bring new people.
Are you using the same character in different capacities, or as the same character?
We don't have to use them in different capacities. Have you ever seen Jean-Claude Van Damme play the role of a pastor in any Hollywood movie?
That's exactly my point.
Jean-Claude Van Damme play any other character? Has he ever been a last killer before?
No.
Has Commando been a last killer before?
No.
So you see,
but
now,
we do the same things here, and they will criticize it.
That's what I'm saying.
Tell us to change the faces.
The consumers have become a problem.
You create
for
characters.
directors.
You bring actors from nowhere, make them stars, and just when it is about time to rake in revenue for they say, change them. Like when you see the Nigerians, they are using new faces.
So you see,
do you know what numbers they have? I'm saying that. Yes, we do it. Look, do you know the people who insult me for using the same characters over and over again? Do you know the people who come and say you're always using Calibos, change him? Maboka at the character back.
But
you are telling me
you are the headmaster.
Let me finish. Some of these things, I was so happy you mentioned it. Typecasting. Now film has moved away from just aesthetic, like I mentioned. Casting is key. People insult me, call me name. Kofi Asamoah is using stars. The story is not good, but you're using stars. Who should I use to sell the film? My mother or who? Like, who should I use?
Kofas, so if you know what you are doing,
and we say, I'm coming. You are mentioning. Let me finish.
Fire. When you land, fire.
You are mentioning all these names. And sometimes it's really. And so when I sit back and I hear commentary and we are using the same people, so who should we go and use? So you're telling me that when you raise characters, when they get to a Jackie Appiah level, change them. You raise characters. When you get to Fred Amugi level, change them. How old is Calibos? Amofe Patri, all these young Yvonne Nelson, etc. How old are they? Like they are not even at the peak of their careers. But over here in Ghana, because of that perception, we think they are at their peak. So you start working with somebody, we are but you watch how many years has it been?
Perhaps it's doing the same film.
This is the reason why I said that I feel that consumers we have a certain influence on directors that is causing or preventing them from
consumers love they behave like he said. The reason people go into the cinemas, okay, the reason people would give your film audience, aside all the production quality, aesthetics, casting. The people on the poster, the people in the film. 2, the production company matches people into the cinema hall. The director, the maker of the film. My father used to tell me something, say, Pedin, na unye dini we are with the deal with dinner. Sometimes you should hear that a certain film is directed by somebody, and you know that just because it is from that director, it's going to be good. You go and watch it. It is not just using aesthetic. Look, like you said, Pascal did a very beautiful short film. When people watch it, there's no character in the film that they can relate to. There's no empathy towards any of the characters in that film. So they'll go and watch a likey film, guy with Jimmy O, and then they'll watch it and share to somebody else to see it. And so it goes beyond, even before they finish watching the whole short film, they'll switch off. Because look, when I did Away Bass, I brought in Ejako, and Ejako had not been on screen for like almost a decade when I brought him. And
was it difficult getting him?
I wouldn't say it was. Okay. I think so. Fortunately, he was really, excited about it as well. Okay. So it was not too difficult. But you had to tell Ejako, but look, in the cinema. When the trailer came, Ejako is one of the people who actually brought us numbers when we're premiering the film in Kumasi. But we would sit there and say, we're trim. What we're trim say? And today we'll sit here and say that Hollywood are building characters. They are mentioning this. But when we do the same thing, you see, we always criticize when it is done by a Ghanaian filmmaker. It is not good. When it is in Hollywood, it is good. When the Nigerians do it, sometimes you watch a film and they will mention certain titles. Ask yourself, how much money? Do you know that here, you cannot write a script with a private jet in it? Or a helicopter. You cannot. We write to budget. We don't write to ideas. You know the ideas in our heads, my brother. Somebody brought me a script. You go and do a story about J.J. Rollins. Go and do a story about Kwame Nkrumah. When you look at the story, you think you have that kind of money to make the film.
Even the props. Many props, no.
Look at away. Because how can I write a story? There's somebody wrote a script that there's the guy flying the helicopter and the helicopter passed somewhere and they landed on some island. I said, my brother, nice idea. But the geography in which you find yourself will not permit you to bring this to life.
What are some
Is it because of the...
Look, in 2016, I had a very beautiful script. It was a trip, on a private jet. Very beautiful comedy film. I told the lady, I said, listen, we don't even have simulators I can rent. Forget private jet. Simulator keke. I met me, I rent it.
Asamoah.
Yeah. And I told her, I said, we could create the set, but it will cost so much. We don't have the money. The ideas are there, but the budget is not there.
But if
so Ramsunova will get $250 million to go and make Heart of Man, the film on Netflix, the Sakawa film. $200 million sponsorship from South Africa Airways. Flew them to South Africa, back free. Hotel.
How did they get that?
Compare that film to a Kofi Asamoah film that I made with $8,000.
But how do they get that you are not able to get?
There is a conscious state. When you go to Nigeria, the Lagos state itself, the state has a fund for filmmakers. Like there's a conscious, like Abaina. You see the way we give sports attention in this country. When the minister is reading national budget, they mention figures for sports. Football, they are specific. World Cup, you are spending this much. Okay?
Imagine
we don't do the same for film.
Or music.
Not even for music.
What could be the problem? Is it?
That's why I didn't say government. It has to be a state like. It has to be a deliberate
agenda for us.
Agenda. It has to be a very.
But somebody will ask whether we have proven ourselves.
How will you prove yourself when you don't have the money? I'm using my money all these years. Kumawood, what haven't we done with our money? What haven't we done? Have we not entertained people enough? Unless we haven't. Have we not educated people enough in this country with film?
This question then goes to two of you. How are you funding your movies?
Self. That is why you can't tell me the type of film to make. Because I'll make the ones that will bring me returns. Do you get it? So if you want me to make films for you, give me the money to make films for you. Recently, there was a minister, deputy minister of the was saying, we have to make film, tell our story. I was watching TV, no,
Maybe no budgets, you never know.
Budget in a way.
If you take a script to them,
budget and give money to homecoming, Ghana at a different thing. Return,
year of return.
And give money to event people. They will create their own companies, give them money. But film, they will tell us that we are.
I want to hear the feedback you get. Have you approached? Someone will say, "Oh, you might have not approached these people." The ministry, that you have.
Give us money. It doesn't work like that, my sister. But ministers don't deal with
no, but you have
agencies don't deal with individual producers. They won't even have the space for it. There has to be a system, and we are not even asking for too much. Create the ambience. We'll help ourselves.
But you saw Idris come to town, was giving the audience to tell the president that they need a policy that they're going to build a film studio, and then they need a policy that will run that.
But off the back of the after the interest in building something.
Exactly. So after telling us that you wanted to build,
I want to build.
Then he says he needs a policy to regulate. And I'm like, okay, what happened to all our filmmakers in this? You guys don't have a policy that regulates that somebody comes from elsewhere and wants a specific policy, sister, for what he's doing.
Let me tell you something. In this country, papers don't work. Okay? We're in this country when some years ago they said, when we've passed the film bill, the problems of our industry is going to change. The film bill has everything. The film bill has an established fund that will be... Do you know how long it's been since the bill was passed into an act?
It's not 2016.
What has changed? Nothing. We need to establish a film authority so that authority will be able to regulate and implement the film bill. National Film Authority, or my thing. Do you know how long it's been? They don't even have an office. They are struggling. Even with leadership. We need to be able to create so let's combine the creative industry to a ministry. There's Ministry of Arts, Creative and Tourism. How much budget do they give creative arts? We need to create, there's a Creative Arts Council. What do we get from there? Are you telling me you
It's not an
need a
agency.
policy document to build a private? Please, let's talk about something else.
Let me ask Pascal. Since the story Gold Coast, which
No, let's
Gold
ask
Coast
Pascal whether he
Lounge.
feels he has the same sentiments.
okay,
You know, with
it
all.
was actually the
Okay.
same sentiments. Yeah, you know, because the story Gold Coast told
Gold Coast
a
Lounge.
Ghanaian story.
Gold Coast
I mean,
Lounge.
Gold Coast
Gold
Lounge.
Coast. What
Yeah.
did I say?
Lounge.
You just said Gold Coast.
Gold Coast
You're
Lounge.
showing your age.
Yeah. you know, just
Story Gold
on a
Coast
lighter
Lounge,
note,
yeah.
I thought it was a story about Gold Coast Lounge.
What? Oh, the restaurant.
Yeah, you know what I kept saying. I
do too.
actually thought it was a story about Gold Coast Lounge because I hear we have one in Ghana, we have one in the UK.
It's called Gold Coast Restaurant and Lounge.
Oh, okay, so the restaurant.
It's a restaurant. Yeah.
I thought
So-
Pascal
It's actually
had
a
grabbed some
Gold Coast
budget.
Lounge and Restaurant.
And yeah, it has lounge.
Restaurant and lounge.
We will skip that lounge for the
skip that.
purpose of.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what I
okay.
mean.
Yeah,
But have you had people also thinking the same? Like Kofas also shares in my sentiment that I thought that
No, me,
it was
I
about.
thought maybe the owner had.
That's what I'm saying. That I
Sorted
thought
it
that it
out
was
somewhere.
about the lounge.
This is the first time I actually hear it.
I thought it was a paid.
Paid.
Oh,
advertised
okay.
Very, very
yeah.
interesting. No,
The story was, was Ghanaian. It was off the back of happenings from.
Is that what he says?
I mean, it's the theme. It's themed on something very.
what's the question?
We're talking
He's trying
about
to
your
find out
reaction
whether
with
the story-
regards to the points that Kofas raised with funding and all these things that have been promised and how maybe let's say it hasn't worked. And I was asking if when you did Gold Coast Lounge anyway, did you get any form of call, support, interest in the story, funding, financing? You name all the
I
words.
can
that
answer this one for you.
Yeah, I paid this guy to make it more interesting.
So-
go. Action.
I had this conversation with that's what I'm saying. It just hit me again. Let him go.
I have one kidney left.
Yeah, that's the
So maybe if a miracle doesn't happen, I may make another movie. But it's self-funded, of course. It's self-funded. Yeah, that's to answer your question. It's self-funded.
Jay, I met this guy at the multi-choice office. I think it was some crowd by National Film something. Or you went there? He wasn't there. So I was at Pascal's thing, and I was like, Charlie, bro, brilliant work, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to ask about money. What's the money? I was like, Charlie, I'm wearing a taxi. I'm wearing a suit, but I don't have one kidney. I don't have one kidney. Charlie, Esri by Sado.
But is that the reason I read that you said that you're going to venture? Talking to Cyril, I don't know whether that's where you started. Because I read an article that said, this year or so, he said you're going to venture music videos. You're going to move into producing music videos. I read an article online that said so.
If you say that, my phone will. No. I don't know why you heard that.
Oh, really? I'm going to pull up the article and give
The
you
article
some.
says I'm venturing to music videos.
Yes, that's what the people wrote.
Miss G, I think if you can you do it on the.
And let me do it on the touch screen.
yeah.
I'm going to pull out the article. That's what
Pascal has stopped
I beg, you don't want my phone to stop blowing up.
in queue waiting.
Oh, I saw an article.
Your phone
I
will break.
must be certain I saw an article about that. We're talking about. Okay, you're going to answer that.
Don't blow up this article that's not even for you. The Free Music Network is big. If you mention something like that, and then people that'll come on my phone.
So actually look for the article. At all.
It doesn't matter. I'm not venturing. I quit music videos for you. I'm retired. I'm done with music videos.
Oh, I see.
But you see, this is when they need you the most.
They need you.
You've gone to you've learned the thing. You are good at
No,
it, you say
they don't
left.
need me. They have XBills, they have Rex, they have Nicosay, they have.
But in
Pascal.
I've done
With
it.
money.
Pascal has paid his dues.
No, but
Pascal has held down
I'm
the
interested
industry.
in why
solid.
you're so done with it. Like you didn't make money from it. It's not an adventure that you want to. You want. Why are you so done?
I left on very, very high note. Like the money was fine. Money was fine. It's just like I said, the sensitive artist in me for the most part. Now. But us near too much, and see. So
Wow.
And you didn't like that. You wanted.
I mean, we all like the banku, yeah. No, we all like the banku, but
When the music video.
I Honestly, I recommend it. You don't watch, you don't see it. The thing is, I felt like there's more I could do with my skills. There's lots of things going on in this mind, and it needs to be. There's a purpose to it.
I get him, but I just want one last one on that. What would you rather be done to our videos so that we don't see more of what you're talking about?
I think our music videos are fine. Yeah, I have no complaints to the music industry.
Improving.
So whenever you people complain about music industry, it's like, keep quiet. Keep quiet.
Film is worse.
Yeah.
No, but you just said that you think that showing the behind was becoming too much. And I would say, what would you rather would concentrate on or would see that would have, tickled your,
He shot my video, he didn't show any behind.
No, that's what I'm saying. That so, like, for instance, he didn't show any in yours. What did he use to replace that? What would you rather be seen than what you're showing now?
The thing is, in general, again, like, I don't have a huge complaint at all with the music videos. I think they're all great. It's just a matter of, like, when I came in the music industry as a music video director, I felt like I was needed, and it was not really that established. It was just a few of us, me, Gio, Esihine, Big OJ. Now, like, all our children are doing amazing. That they're blowing up. There's shout out to Prince of Love. That's my son. Bab's Direction. That's Big OJ's son. And there's so many dope, amazing directors. Too many to name right now, and they're doing amazing. So it's just like I wanted to be my own boss again. Once you're a music video director, most of the script has already been written. It's in a song. I directed the D Black's Vera. That's like, how much directing is there? The story's already there in the song. So there's just my own stories that had to be made. And also the film industry, I felt I'm needed there. And it's my first love. I have a degree in film, not a degree in music videos. So that's it. But with the music videos, I'll say it right now. Never say never. I quit first time.
You see the article is true?
Maybe it's a home blog.
No, he said I should start. I was going to pull it. You want me to pull it?
Are you writing the article right now?
I also saw it, bro. I saw it.
I saw it. Yeah.
No, so I'm sure it's okay. Look, I'm sure it's one of those.
No, but he just said never say never.
I quit the first time 2013, and I came back 2015, and then I left 2018. Well, 2023, you will never know.
So basically, every 3 years he quits and comes back.
Your math teacher will be proud of you.
My last one, and it was something I said earlier. I watched Gold Coast Lounge, and I know the young men here will tell you, I said to them, look, I was so amazed by the use of the Ghanaian language. It was, for me, like, how daring can you be, to know that it's not the most spoken local language, yet you say, I don't care. And it was, I understand Ga. I loved it. But I just sat wondering, hey, this guy must be very daring. What informed that? I'm just curious to know why, you say, oh, this is tree because it's the most spoken. And say, let me do Ga, put a bit of Ever in there and a bit of tree as well. But Ga was major in Gold Coast Lounge.
Okay. 11 years ago, I did this action short film, whatever. And Kofi Ajimafo, the stunt coordinator and actor in there, he decided, like, let's use Ga because Ga is like, it's brutal, like, you know what I mean? So, like, every time I hear Ga, I'm actually mesmerized. But then when we did Black Rose or Gold Coast Lounge, it's more of a romantic film. Not a romantic film, I mean, like, the style of it, at least. Because it's a very violent film, I won't lie. But I wanted Ga to be used in a romantic way. It wasn't my idea, it was the idea of the lead actor. Shout out to Alphonse Menu. Originally, I wanted to be in Tree, but then he used classical Ghan language. Wow. So he translated a lot of my script into, like, using, like, words in Ghan that's not so brutal. Let's say words like Bele, he wouldn't use that. He would just switch that to another word that's a bit more smooth. So I felt it's just beautiful. And I like to do things people have not done much. I like to look at things that's not that much explored. I mean, kind of a guy, like, I'm the youngest of 5 brothers, right? So if you say Mario Luigi, I look at Luigi and say, what's up with that guy? If you give me Batman or Robin, I look at Robin and say, what's up with that guy? How come? I want to see more of that. So Ghan is not that, not the most popular language, which historically maybe should have been. But it's a beautiful language, and I just felt that, Yeah.
Sorry, let me just cut in with the message that has come in. This is coming from Frankie 5. And I'm
Oh,
sure
you got it
Kofas-
as well.
He sent it to you.
He sent it to me as well.
Oh, okay.
So
Then
go ahead.
let's put it
Somebody
out there real
fire me.
quickly. He can fire you small. He can fire small, so we can fire you, and then because I have a lot
One
of
transfer of fire.
It says there's a film act that regulates who comes in and out of Ghana. We as an industry must be concerned with its implementation. He says it's time to hold our leaders accountable to make the policies work, and we shall be fine. He says we talk, fight, and push for these policies, but we aren't interested to see it to the end. Then he goes on to say, this is Ghana. We can't sit aloof and watch the systems work. People fought for our independence. Even in Parliament, they lobby for things that citizens need. You think they don't know that the citizens don't need those things? He says, but still, the respective agency must lobby to, what they want and what can work for them. We are simply not interested. He says, just talk. I have another one here from... if we didn't add the name, I think it's from, Jewel. Jewel says, well, good morning, Jay. I trust you're doing well. This is Emmanuel Jewel Pepra Bensa. He says, staff at National Commission on Culture, Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. He says, please, I need your producer's number. Okay, we'll talk about the gospel music video bit. He goes on to say that, I'm really enjoying the show. Can you ask, how do they plan on raising the necessary funds for production? I was also going to ask you that question. You said you self-fund. I also want to ask about how you generate the income. He says, more so for the policy framework, it is high time the media embark on an agenda to put the government on its feet to deliver on its promise, such as film policy, film studio, theatres, and other regions. He says that's the surest way for the industry to thrive. The sports pundits have done that, and it's working, like he said. So the first thing, real quickly, before we have about 3 minutes left, how do you raise the money to go and fund the movie?
Didn't we answer that already?
Yeah, they said self-fund.
Yeah.
No, we said self. Yeah,
It's from our pockets. So
do you have investors?
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
And when we say self-funding, it means that we raise the monies ourselves. There are producers that raise the monies through loans, loans with interests for that matter. Producers who raise the monies through other endeavors of theirs. Personally, I mean, our company does other things than movies.
Okay.
Advertising, etc., brands, marketing, etc. So we're able to generate revenue and do that. But fortunately for us, over the years, after our second film also, we've been able to get sponsorship even ahead of production.
Okay.
Which helps. And these are sponsors that agree to give us monies because of what they have seen, the numbers they have seen that we are able to mobilize during our screening sessions. So that's how we make the money. There are other producers who don't have that opportunity, that access, and for all of them, it is self-financed. Sometimes family members, sometimes friends, sometimes, like you said, investors. But these investors are not investors who give grants. It's business for them. I need my money back plus more. So technically, the investor is only giving you a loan, and share your earnings with you, which is logic.
I would respect if you don't share these figures, but what has been the average budget that
I can share? Why not? Budget for film should not be a secret.
What are some of the
When you go to Hollywood, they'll tell you this film is so and so much. There's a lot of films whose budget we even know ahead of production.
Because it'd be big, that's why they're showing off.
But ours, because it's small, and right now if he says, how can you make it? But that is the reality.
So what is the reality?
I remember I think it was Amachi and the Day. I forgotten which of the films it was.
Classic.
But it was about, I spent about 30,000 cedis at that time, 2015 or 2014. 2014. Yeah, 30,000 cedis. That's like $3,000.
At the time?
At the time, maybe less. Yeah. So now, even now, that's $3,000.
What about Awebas?
Awebas, I spent about like $30,000 thereabout.
Okay.
Yeah, $30,000 to $40,000.
Is that workable for you as well with Gold Coast Lounge?
It makes sense. It's around there.
What about you for Gold Coast Lounge?
It's around there.
But would you say, like, that's what the most important thing for me is, would you say that looking back, you've made back, the 30,000 thereabout in Gold Coast Lounge, and even you've broken even, and you can carry on whatever to make a better or a bigger production than Gold Coast Lounge? And what about you?
Of course, definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
So then it makes sense.
So
Then you're making
basically,
money.
one Toyota Land Cruiser 2019 standard.
Perfume.
Yeah.
Perfume.
Perfume.
That's a G-Wagon ring.
One.
And I do not know the comparison, but how much does it cost to make an album, music album?
I mean,
I'm just saying. I'm just trying to compare. I mean, I'm not saying one is better than the
so
other.
if we look at maybe one presidential convoy,
Yeah, that's
that's like
that's an industry.
45 blockbusters.
and I give up.
Yes. So,
Wow.
so you see, it's so we, and these are monies that we raise ourselves. We mobilize ourselves. So imagine that you would, go through all this, make money, and somebody wants to tell you what film to make. Like, go and risk, go and
Experiment. At this time.
Like, this is
with
like,
somebody's $90,000 loan.
On here. A lot of the Kumawood producers folded up because they took loans from banks, institutions, and they couldn't pay. And no government and phobia, So before you come and say we make a movie like this, look at the Nigerians, look at where they are doing. We can't. Look, there are certain times I watch Nigeria films and I see locations, I see houses. I'm like, wow. But here, look, recently I was doing a commercial. I wanted a location. I went to a public restaurant. The woman told me that there we are for restaurant. You go somewhere and they tell you, movie people, you are too many of you. You tell, how many are you? Oh, 20 people, 15, 20. But Nigerians, somebody will tell you, look, I have a restaurant, come and shoot there. I have, this is my house now. If you come and shoot now, leave the house for you. But here we struggle. My brother is.
I can imagine.
And
So the problem sounds like
I can
the end
imagine.
to end.
Let me get this out of the way real quick.
You see, when you are
background,
when you are there somewhere, you just say, so why can't you people make a movie that with that? Why can't you people? You think we don't? You're school.
It's
my brother.
interesting. Well, every time we eat, food and sugars are trapped between our teeth, leading to tooth decay, gum disease, and in some cases, foul breath as well. Well, brushing your teeth every morning and night with Pepsodent Cavity Fighter gives your teeth the protection they need, leaving you with 10 times stronger teeth. Now, Pepsodent Cavity Fighter is fortified with pro-fluoride and micro-calcium ingredients, sealing tiny and invisible holes in your teeth. All right, so this prevents cavities, keeps your teeth strong, and mouth also very healthy. Now, guess what? Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, maximum cavity protection, 10 times stronger teeth, and 25 years educating to brush day and night. Pepsodent is recommended by the Ghana Dental Association. Well, there are two other highly effective variants of Pepsodent on the market as well. That's Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal. The charcoal is made with fine blend of activated charcoal, and of course, the Pepsodent Charcoal White, which is also under the Pepsodent Charcoal, gently polishes away tooth stains and naturally restores your bright smile. Then the Herbal is also for herbal lovers. Try Pepsodent Herbal toothpaste formulated for carefully selected natural extracts and uniquely blended herbs. Pepsodent Herbal releases, repairs, and protects gum tissues whilst giving you strong teeth. Now, you can get your Pepsodent at any shop near you, or you can call the customer call care center, on 0800 2030. Easy does it. Always remember to brush your teeth in the morning and before you sleep at night. Pepsodent, every smile matters. Guys, thank you so very much for being guests on us on the show this morning for us. We learned a thing or two. Please go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
The last message said that people fought for our independence. And we have to fight. The fight is what we are doing here on radio.
I know.
At the time, there were no digital platforms. There was no radio, probably. That's why they were always on the streets. But now there is. So the things and the conversations we are having now
is key.
Is very fundamental.
It's 10. We have to go. What are your next projects? Will you disclose anything?
No.
For me, film.
You're done.
Nothing's. I won't say I'm done.
Hey.
Pascal,
The man said he's chopping marketing money. You didn't hear.
So what will
maybe one
happen?
day I'll make another movie.
Like not anytime soon.
I need to have good money to make my next.
Good money is how much money?
Like $1 million.
Wow.
$1.5 million.
Kofas.
Wow. Pascal,
Yes.
you're not disclosing anything yet.
The thing is, I mean,
Currently on Gold Coast Lounge. with the pushing? I mean, like marketing the brand.
I mean, like it's on Netflix, whatever. Okay. So whatever. So I mean, what am I gonna do next?
Yeah.
I beg, let me relax, man. I just got married.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you so much. We're back here again, same time tomorrow on Culture Daily. And thanks for all your messages and your viewership. Sticking with us 247. Thank you. We're out of here.